Everybody else agrees to $600. All
right, I have been asked to clarify something that I said about one of these slides. I now have the slide on the screen. And I did not say the first sustainable initiative in Tennessee. I said the first transition initiative. There are many across the country. This is the first transition initiative in Tennessee, and they do have a magazine called Permaculture. And when you apply to this transition community or movement, you become part of the Permaculture Society. The headquarters for this is in England and Australia. So that's where their application went to. Their application is actually online if you can go out and look at it. So now let me go into the first thing that they experimented with in order to start moving towards sustainable development. And it was to create a local currency. In other words, you would issue this currency. It was under the auspices of the Chamber of Commerce. The merchants agreed to accept this currency. There were some problems because some merchants gave out U.S. currency instead of local currency as change. So now they went back, this was a 3-month period. They went through this. Now, if you're as old as I am and you grew up in similar circumstances, I'm well aware of what the coal mining industry and the steel industry did years ago. And they issued script. And there was a song that I think many of you remember. Tennessee Ernie said, I load 16 tons a day. And Lord, deeper in debt do I get. You can't take me, St. Peter, because I owe everything. The company's going. That's true. This thing is a system to actually prevent you from going outside of that community and using your wealth. So when somebody comes to you and says, let's start a local currency, you know exactly what's going on. Now, we have on the back a listing of things that you can do on an individual basis or collectively. You need to get together and start talking about these things. There are 3 states that are proposing to put a system in of gold and silver at the state level that would operate concurrent with the federal currency, the fiat currency that we have. Now, this would be just as convenient as using the current system because you would deposit your gold into a certified state bank, and there would be credits issued. You could use a credit card, a debit card, just like you do now with this particular system. It's 18 pages long. It's very detailed. I did my best to try to get people in Alabama, or the group that I'm associated with in Alabama, to make that part of our legislative agenda this time. But they said it was just too complicated. I rather think that we may have our currency dumped before we have a chance to move on this thing on a wide-scale basis. I think if we had 4 or 5 states that actually adopted this, that it would make a big difference on what's going on at the national level with currency. So I put the bill number back there. You can go online and look up that particular bill if you're interested in it. So now, you're about to see the transition video. This was the celebration in Hohenwald, and you're going to hear the Vice Mayor of Hohenwald, Tennessee. Very young fellow. He's going to stand up and he's going to say, I am so proud we have come to a consensus here. And we are going green in Hohenwald, and we're going to do it through permaculture. Then you're going to hear an old school teacher that say, I was a cheerleader from way back, and I can accept this, and I can accept the principles of permaculture. Well, after she gets talking, we'll look at what those things, the things that she didn't say, and that she should have said. So again, if everything works like it's supposed to.
States.
actually meant it. So now, what she didn't say is far more important. It's one of those omissions that go untalked about. So now we're going to look at what she didn't say, because permaculture has many more principles. So I went out to the Permaculture Research Institute. This is their website. This is the information that she should have shared with the people in Hohenwald. She mentioned the first two principles: care of the earth and care of the earth's people. The next one is accepting limits to population and consumption. That's one of Agenda 21's primary targets. Humanity belongs to the earth, our ecosystem, and Gaia. That's a religious reference to Mother Earth. The problem is not humanity. The problem is our culture, our growth, and how we make a living. The old worldview. Now this is what you remember she said, now we're going to get rid of things that didn't work. Well now, this is one of those things that didn't work. 2,000 years ago, our ancestors created a worldview which taught that humanity is flawed, we are sinners, and the earth is a proving ground to see whether we are worthy to go to a better place when we die. Well, what else did that old worldview teach? It taught liberty and freedom. It taught that we had unalienable rights given to us by our Creator. That's what it taught. It created the society that is most productive in the history of mankind. Well, let's look at what the new ethics she's talking about. All profits, losses, and fines are shared equally. Decisions are made by consensus. Private property leads to hoarding and is a disincentive to sharing. It should be eliminated. All non-household assets should also be communal or part of the commons. These ethics translate to make a living in a way that does not participate in the destruction of the earth. I'm sure she would say Mother Earth. So now I'm going to go to another aspect of sustainable development, and I'm going to pick up on social health. Now this is a speech by Director Bosworth back in 2003. He was director of the USDA at the time. This is the actual text of that speech. I'm going to pick up on just a few quotes of it. And he's talking about here in this particular text that the USDA is required to submit and issue reports on sustainable development on a yearly basis. And that they look at those reports and determine whether or not they're moving quick enough towards that objective. And if they're not, they tweak it and they change that ordinance or that regulation and so they can move faster. Now he says that, in other words, sustainability depends on how social, economic, and ecological components interrelate. And that has earned it's so important that it's earned a phrase of its own, the triple bottom line. If you want to look something up, look up the triple bottom line, sustainable development, and Virginia, and put in PPT for PowerPoint presentation. You will have more hits than you can imagine dealing with this very subject. Now, this is a PowerPoint presentation from Japan that talks about the triple bottom line. Now we have a triangle, we don't have a circle, 3 circles. We have economy, society, and the environment, and rising out of that we have happiness. That is the basis for the triple bottom line. Now this says that to be sustainable, a society must satisfy the requirements of the triple bottom line. It's not optional, it's not voluntary. However, that alone is not sufficient. The feelings of people living in society are also important. Even if the triple bottom line requirements are satisfied, the society is not sustainable if you feel unhappy. Therefore, we define a sustainable society as one that satisfies the triple bottom line requirements and makes you feel happy about it. Now, I ask you, what would make you feel happy under sustainable development? And that would be a universal health care system. This column right here goes through in this PowerPoint presentation all of these various subject matters. This deals with a universal health care system. And that's what they think would make you happy if we had it. Now, GSF stands for Gross Social feel-good index. Now, if you go to the Washington County, Virginia 2002 Comprehensive Plan, Appendix C, and look at the survey instruments, you will see the same kind of questions that would be asked in any feel-good survey. The same thing, is just how it's couched or presented to you as to whether or not you recognize what in reality it is. So now let me pick up on land use planning and greening development. Now, land use planning usually comes through comprehensive plan. It can, in some cases, come through the flood damage prevention ordinance, and all the communities, I believe, across this country have already adopted this, and it gives FEMA control over land use. So if one system fails, for instance, comprehensive planning, they have something else waiting in the wings to pick it up. We need to know and understand the ramifications of this program and how broad it is in order to upset their apple cart. And I'm also going to pick up on the Biodiversity Treaty because it is one treaty of the Agenda 21. So now this is a slideshow presentation put on and created by the EPA Region 4 out of Atlanta. I have a copy of this. If you want a copy of it, I'll give you the entire presentation. Now, this is a mapping of the southeastern United States. They did not include Virginia. This is several years old. This information is on the University of Florida's website. Now, just frankly, what this means to do is to set aside 50% of the continental United States for animal habitation only. No human intrusions. 10% buffer zone. The remaining 40% of the land mass will be where we will reside. Now, this is a multi-year program. This was done probably in the late 90s. That's how old this information is. And I read that they were supposed to have, the government was supposed to have the rest of the United States mapped for this in fall of last year. But I have not seen the maps yet. Now, I do know that some of these maps for Pulaski County are already in the hands of some of the people up there in that county. So you can look at different places and likely pick up some of these maps and know what is going to be human, non-human areas in animal kingdom. Now, if you're in the real estate business and you know about this, you know what parcel of land to sell and which one to buy. You know what's going to be valuable and what's not going to